Hello and welcome to the first part of this tutorial. We'll be making a basic game, as the tutorial says. Now, first you've got to grab yourself a copy of Blender, which is free. So you go to www.blender.org and it comes up with this site. There's loads of different galleries and everything you can look at. But to the right here, there's a download now. If you click that and run through which of the different links, so the newest version is Blender 2.49, which if you're running Windows 32-bit, you grab that. 64-bit, there you would have to grab the zip file for that, and Linux and Mac. But once you got that and installed it, and so here we go, we'll start off. Now, this game will just be a normal basic game where you're a little dude and you run around and with some enemies, pick up things, some rooms, different doors, trap doors, that sort of stuff. So just but in the basic way. So the first thing we do is we need to add a floor for the player, otherwise the player's just going to fall straight through and it's not going to do anything good. So, whoops, just start off here. Okay, so to do that, we just need to place in a plane. So spacebar, add mesh, plane. So our plane's here, so we just scale. So hit S to scale, and then, I don't know, say 20. Yep, that's good enough. So we now need to go down to view and then go to side view. If you want to use shortcuts, numpad 3, or it depends on what you do. We now need to bring the plane down underneath the player, just so the player is not in the middle of the floor anyway. So once you've done that, just go back up to top view, which is 7. Alright, we now are going to add some physics to our little player here. So we just have to right click on the player, and we'll be using a lot of the logic panel, just because it's for the game logic pretty much. And so what we need to do is we need to set the object type here to dynamic. Many people say to rigid body, but I have found out that dynamic is the best for what we're doing. So we do dynamic, no sleeping, and then we have to hit bounds for box so the game engine doesn't think that our player is a sphere and start rolling. Now we've got that, we should be able to see our player fall just a bit if we take up and hit P to use the game engine. The player falls. So that way we know that we've got the physics going right. We'll just put him down again. So at the moment, hit P, player will fall, but there's pressing, it does nothing. So we need to now add some movement. So we'll go down here to this little wonderful thing here. What we need to do is we need to add, so click add a sensor, add a controller, and add an actuator. Now an actuator is where you put all the settings pretty much. A sensor, well, you've got loads of settings here, and your controller is just, at the moment you don't need to worry about the controller, but what we do is we need to link them all together. And just for now, we'll keep it at an always sensor. Now what that will do is it will always activate the actuator settings. It will always take on the settings. So what we need to do is we want this cube here to move forward. Let's just say we're in the camera view. Forward, just say roughly forward would be along here, if you go down here, along the y-axis. So we need to make sure, so this is X, Y and Z. So we need to add some force. So let's say 10, which hopefully is enough. So now if we click P, yep. So our player is actually moving, so now we don't want it to always move. So we only want it to do when a key is pressed. So we'd click on the always here thing here, which is the sensors. So different sensor types, and what we want is the keyboard sensor. So now we just press a key and let's just say up arrow. Now always name your sensors, actuators, and everything. It's just so it keeps a lot organized and it helps out a lot. So alright, so now we've got these settings. This is forward, so if we now press P for play, it doesn't move. As soon as I press the arrow, up arrow, it moves. So it's working good. So now we'll just put these down. Now we need to add another sensor, controller, and another actuator. Link them together. And let's go keyboard again. Now this one will be a rotation one. So we want it to rotate, let's say left first. So we'll go left arrow. Then we'll go, let's see. Alright. Now, what we'll want to do is we want it to be able to rotate, and it has to rotate along the Z axis, the Z axis. So for torque, torque will make it spin like really fast. We don't want that. We want to be able to have a controlled turning. So we'll use the rot here, which is rotation, and we need it to rotate along the Z axis. So the rotation is a lot more touchy than force. So we don't put 10 rotation, otherwise it'll just spin out of control. See, if you put 10, it's just, it doesn't, if you go forward, it doesn't, it's just crazy, pretty much. So we want to limit it down to, let's say, 0.05. That sounds like a little bit, but it should give us a nice, smooth control, which is very nice. Now that we've got that, just name this, and we'll put these ones down. Now, I want you to keep this one up because it has the settings for left. So right is just the opposite of them. So another controller, sensor, controller, and another actuator. Link them together. So keyboard sensor to your right. Now the sensor here, or the setting here for rotating left is positive 0.05. Now, if we want it to rotate right, it's just the opposite of that. So it's just negative 0.05. Now we've got those. Yep, all good. We'll close those just for space. Hit P. Now, if I hit the left arrow, rotates left. Hit the right arrow, rotates right. Forward. Yep, all works in sync. So there we go. We've got basic movement for our player. Now, I'll do one thing quickly while I can. We'll add in a jumping function. You don't have to. I just like being able to have the ability to jump, so you could have more challenging levels, obstacles. Yeah. So we add another sensor, controller, actuator. Link them together. Now this one we'll just add keyboard sensor. Name that to